commission meeting on Thursday, November the 18th, 2021, at 6:10 p.m. Our invocation tonight will be given by Commissioner Chris Arias. I'll lead the Pledge of Allegiance, so would you please stand, and gentlemen, would you remove your hats?
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the gifts of family, friends. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings you bestowed upon our humble little town. We pray for your guidance tonight as we do your work for the sake of his honorable passion. Have mercy on us and on the whole world. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Here.
Commissioner Moya.
Here.
Commissioner Villanueva. Commissioner Arias.
Here.
Mayor Litchfield.
Here. Are there any considerations of changes or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. Do you have them all in healthcare?
There's one other one.
Just,
Okay, we're looking at deleting item 5A, resolution
You're not on, I got
2021-33.
5A.
5A, resolution 2021-33. And also requesting that item 7E being moved to before ordinances and resolutions and after consent agenda.
And under the consent agenda C, I'd like to have that deleted and for discussion for later, at a later time.
oh, see?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. With the changes in the agenda, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as has been corrected.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Moya.
Yep.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is public comments. Citizens wanting to speak at this time must sign up prior to the start of the meeting. Public comments is an opportunity for citizens to comment on non-agenda items. This is not for discussion or questions and answers. Citizens will be given 3 minutes to speak. First on our agenda to speak tonight is Scott Krotzner from the Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening,
And I
Madam Mayor.
apologize, I probably mispronounced.
It's all right. It's a hard name, Krotzer. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to give you some awesome updates for the Chamber of Commerce. We've got it painted. We've got a new sign up and some neon, and I plan to give you an official update later as soon as I can get on the agenda. Also, the Very Merry Tucumcari promotion is underway. We have the lighting of the depot on November 27th, and Connie asked me to come and speak on behalf of her and the chamber. We're teaming up on this event again, much like we did at Halloween. We have 13,000 lights that were donated by Excel Energy that we've got to hang over the weekend. So we're calling for volunteers both on Friday and Saturday this weekend from 10 a.m. to when we drop in order to get these up. So bring any donated lights with you, and extension cords are really needed. So we'd love for the public to come out and help, and that's 10 a.m. at the depot. The light parade is planned for December 4th. The route will start a little differently this year, start at Father's Forge and continue to the Route 66, then down to 2nd Street, and then straight to the depot, which will be completely lit this year, we hope. So get your applications in to me at the chamber so that we can get you into the parade this year, the light parade. So thank you.
Thank you. Next is Yvette Kent, Jewel Management.
Madam Mayor, I'll speak for Yvette. She called in earlier.
Right.
That was her only comment.
No, I'm here.
Oh, she is here. Then I'll introduce her.
Yes.
Okay, yes, my name is Yvette Kent with Jewel Management, and I think I spoke last time, and I let everyone know. I'm from Tucumcari. I graduated in 1980, and a lot has been going on with this cannabis business, and just to give everybody a little insight, because I've heard the grapevine in Tucumcari, but I've been in the cannabis business now, studying it, and have actually spent time in several different states studying the laws and trying to learn everything there is to learn about the cannabis business. I'm 8 years deep into the studies of the what needs to happen in the cannabis business. The reason I'm coming into Tucumcari is not only personal, but it's because it's my home. It's my family's home. We go back 80 years with my grandfather building the home back on the north side. So this is where we're at. The cannabis industry alone can bring so much money into New Mexico, and I'm not just trying to bring money into Tucumcari. Tucumcari is just the caveat in the door and the portal to open up all the rest of the money coming through, especially at Route 66. So my desire is to let everybody know I'm coming in for one purpose and one purpose only, and that's business. Business to improve what I can improve in local Tucumcari, but mostly along the Route 66 corridor, where they're going to be spending a lot of money because of cannabis with the cannabis industry in the state of New Mexico. That's just studying business. So that's why I'm coming in there. I'd like to get some cooperation from the city. And boy, I've only been around 2 months, and it's kind of hard working with folks sometimes. So if I can get some, help, that would be really nice. I'd like to work more with some of the people within Tucumcari, so I can get work done. So if you guys can just kind of help, that would be really, really nice. And I'm not an old person, a new person coming in. I'm an old person coming in new. So it would be really nice to have a little bit more support, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Comment over.
You have, what, she has 39 seconds left? If there's anything else? Okay, thank you, Yvette. Next on the agenda is David Brenner from the Roadrunner Lodge Motel.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commission, City Manager, City Clerk, and to the City of Tucumcari. I want to let everybody know that we have some distinguished guests with us tonight. We have an artist who has driven in from Montana, Kincaid, and another who has driven in from Florida with her son, Rebecca. Her son is Remington. He goes by Remy. Anyway, what they have come to Tucumcari to do is help with some of our community contributions to improve some of the cultural aspects and art projects here in the town. And they're a member of the TMFA, the Most Famous Artist Community. And you're going to be seeing more people like them coming through. So thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome. Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. It's approved by a single motion. Any member of the commission may request an item be transferred to the regular agenda from the consent agenda without discussion or vote. Tonight we'll be voting on approval of work session notes from October 28th and the commission meeting from October 28th. Are there any other? I'd entertain a motion to to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
And roll call, please.
Commissioner Arias?
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis?
Yes.
Commissioner Moya?
Okay, next on the agenda is ordinances and resolutions. The first one is Resolution 2021-34, fiscal year 2022 first quarter actuals.
Mayor, we have moved up,
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry.
I'm
Sorry
sorry.
about that, Randy. We moved up funding from executive for the American Bus Association Conference. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, City Manager and staff. I'm here to present something that has been in the works for a really long time, and there's a special thanks that goes out to all the organizations that have helped do the legwork for this, including the Historic Museum, the Roadrunner Lodge, and the Most Famous Artists. I think that you got an initial sheet that kind of explains my request and why it's under such time constraints, because we actually have to have a membership entered and registered by December 8th to participate in this American Bus Tour Association Marketplace Conference. in Grapevine, Texas. The conference is the 8th through the 11th. And I was able to find out that only 2 New Mexico cities are participating in this currently. That would be Gallup, which is on the route, and then Roswell. I had the extreme pleasure of speaking to Mrs. Lazara, who is the tourism and marketing manager for the city of Gallup. She said that by far this tour is one of her top 3 conferences that is totally beneficial to them. A long time ago, the Gallup tourism manager said that the businesses in Gallup decided that this was something that they wanted to pursue, and that is now their cash cow. She relates a lot of that to attending this conference and making the connections there. She also suggested staying an extra day, so you might go over the costs, look at what you would get presented there. I have a lot of information that I can go over with you, but I pretty much would stand for questions now, if there's any questions with the information I provided.
Mayor, our city attorney, Mr. Van Fleck, did have some comments when it came to this proposal, so go ahead and turn it over to Randy at this time.
I think that this sounds like a wonderful opportunity for the city and a wonderful opportunity for the chamber to kind of get into an area that is probably just right along what you guys need to be doing. Unfortunately, and I hate to be a naysayer, but I have to look at the statute that talks about the eligible uses of lodger's tax proceeds, and it's pretty specific, and it really relates more toward the advertising, publicizing, and promoting of tourist-related attractions within the city. And so, I frankly, I think it's a stretch to use this money for training purposes, for education purposes, as laudable as that is. I'm just, I'm reading this kind of conservatively, and if you're comfortable that you think you can squeeze it into one of those requirements, then go ahead and approve it. But I just don't think I wouldn't recommend it simply because it doesn't fit within the intent of what the lodger's tax proceeds and use of lodger's tax proceeds is intended to cover.
I think that maybe something's been misinterpreted. This is not for training of any kind or education of any kind. This is precisely promotion of Tucumcari as a city. And Gallup does use their lodger's tax to pay for this. So this is not something that another city hasn't already set precedence. And just to be clear, it's not an education for me. It would be educational. That is definitely a benefit of this. But it is thinking outside the box. It is a promotion other than just a static display on a billboard or in a magazine where you actually put the money towards the ad, cross your fingers, and you say, oh, I hope that someone looks at that. This is actually physical one-on-one promotion, like what we've been talking about with establishing the visitor center, that you have someone that is representative of Tucumcari that's selling all of the attractions, vintage motels, chain motels, restaurants, and every business within the city. It is a citywide marketing opportunity that a person actually has to go and do. So I understand that lodging and per diem and stuff is a stretch and an interesting question, but you cannot pay for registration into something like this and not send a physical person to be there. You have to have a strong representative. And that was something that Ms. Larza actually spoke to me about. So this is something that is being supported by larger tax in other cities. We're not setting precedents.
Okay, thank you, Scott. So did you
Yeah,
hear
like
that?
I said, I only got that one-page flyer, and you have to be comfortable yourself. I mean, if you honestly believe that this has some aspect of advertising, publicizing, or promoting tourist-related attractions, facilities, and events, then I think it fits within the requirements. But that's the limitation.
I also have the marketing that Gallup presents, if I can approach and you guys would like to look at this at all.
But actually, if you look at it, it says marketing, place, and conference, which means that that's where we're gonna go promote Tucumcari
Right.
for our tourist industry, which is the industry itself that will benefit from the tour bus, which would be the largest tax by people staying in the motels and restaurants. So actually, if you look at it, it is a promotional for, we gotta get out there. Actually, we're really, in many ways, if you look at it, the way he talks about it is that we're out there promoting an attraction, which is Route 66 on the boulevard. And what we're saying is, we'd like to see some of these tourist bus comes in and tour our Route 66 business because it's unique and it's a motel and driven industry.
Well, it's just like when we send EDC to places. So personally, I think it sounds like a great idea to myself.
Promotes us as a
If it's
destination.
promoting us on the bus tour, yeah.
And it's not only destination services, but it's also mechanical service, tire service, oil service, big bus service. There's also a question about establishing some sort of dumping zone for the tour buses coming through. So it's using citywide services, not just the chamber. The chamber has been picked as a representative because we represent the community as well as our businesses. So this is going to be a community-wide reach.
So actually, the Route 66 Boulevard is really a tourist area that we try to promote the uniqueness of it.
So, we need to entertain a motion to approve this.
Yes, ma'am, to give some background, just I want to elaborate on some things. One of the concerns previously that got brought up, this was presented to our lodgers tax board. Just until something a little bit more unique, I pushed it to the attorney just to make sure we're not getting ourselves in hot water. But I think it was received very well by the lodgers tax board. We didn't have time to have a special meeting to kind of get their blessing. This would come from the executive side of the funds of lodgers tax. And I agree with Scott. I think it's kind of like a walking billboard. We're able to do that. We also have engaged our graphics design people on contract to come up with the one page that he would distribute to these tour bus companies. As a background, there's over 200.
250. You're able to select 75, and then that gets reduced to a maximum of 54 appointments, which is over 6.5 hours of appointments shoved into one day. It's like a speed dating for.
It's like going to an expo type thing.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think some of the concern originally was maybe because it was not ran through the chamber, there's no bias there. Like Scott says, he's representing Tucumcari as a whole, as a community, not just Route 66, not just a certain area of town. It's completely marketing Tucumcari as a whole. So I do feel comfortable with it, but again, this is something I push to Randy, and again, just kind of crossing those T's and dotting those I's.
And just to throw out there, the tour that they did have come out here generated over $5,000 in just a few days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
And this all started because the community blew that tour away. I mean, they were really, really overwhelmed by the services, the experience that they had here. And so that lady has become like a personal consultant to help us
Oh,
be
that Route
guided through
66, the Route 66 one?
Yeah.
Yes,
well,
they,
actually, no, it was the bus
oh,
tour.
the bus tour,
Sorry, I
right.
don't have the name off the top of my head, but it was a specific bus tour that came in, over 30 guests. They did a progressive meal at each of the museums, followed up by staying at the vintage lodges where they had cowboy stories. I think they had a tack and saddling up, horses sort of demonstration, as well as walking through the neon, and then biscuits and gravy in the morning and headed out. They were so impressed that they changed their schedule on the way back to stop back through here and have lunch at a local restaurant, in which made them have lunch, I believe, later than 2:00, which is unheard of for the age group that was on the bus. But they really loved the experience and wanted to come back. So this is all rooted from something that we've already done and been successful with.
Is there any other discussion? I would entertain a motion to accept this funding from the executive for the American Bus Association Conference.
I'll make a motion that we accept this funding from the executive side of lodgers tax for the American Bus Association.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Yes.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
We know you'll represent us well. All right, now we get back to,
I'm trying.
yeah. 5A, or 5B, excuse me,
B.
Resolution 2021-34, the fiscal year 2022 first quarter actuals. And Rochelle, it's nice to see you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Commissioners. This is the first quarter actuals that's due to DFA. I am a little late. It was due at the end of October. I'm submitting it for your approval. We are sitting, of course, you know, it is only first quarter. I didn't have to make any budget adjustments. I was able to get around that. So we are sitting favorable right now with, so when I originally presented the budget for your approval and I submitted it to DFA, we were in a deficit of $417,617. And once I submitted it to DFA, we had received half of that, what was that money called, Mark? American Rescue Plan?
Right.
American Rescue
And-
Plan Act.
Yes, and so DFA required that we put that into the budget, so I had to add that in. So once I put that in, that actually put our overall budget into a surplus of $155,759. Again, that was a requirement from DFA, so I had to throw that in there. So with all that and all the actuals, we are sitting favorable right now, meaning everything that we've spent and everything that we've received so far, favorable $1,941,732.92. So again, this is the report that I have to submit for the first quarter. I would expect that I will have budget adjustments in January for the second quarter, along with my actuals again. Stand for any questions, or I respectfully ask for your approval.
Have any questions?
As long as it's in the positive, I'm okay.
I wouldn't drill the.
I would entertain a motion to approve the actuals for the first quarter.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the fiscal year 2022 first quarter actuals.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
I just have one more question. Thank you, by the way. I just have one more question. Earlier we had the entrance conference with the auditors, which we've already been working on. The audit has been a little slow going. But we are going to be hitting it very hard and fast since the deadline is December 15th. They want it submitted to OSA by December 10th, which means that we need to have the exit conference either December 8th or December 9th. Is the 9th the day of a commission meeting already?
Yes.
It is, okay. So we'll plan to have the exit conference on that day, and it will be closed session. I don't know what else you guys already have on the work session, but
Nothing at this point that I'm aware of.
So the exit conference at 5.
if there's nothing else on the agenda, if there is, we can always move it up if we need to, just so that we have enough time to discuss that.
We have a public hearing at 6.
We have a public hearing for a liquor license. I'm not aware of anything that we discussed to hold for a work session, so we could do that in place as a closed session and just have a regular commission meeting at 6, starting with the public hearing.
So at 5,
Will that be plenty of time?
I do believe so. It gives them the whole hour, is what we're saying,
Yes.
if we need to. Okay,
So the exit conference is at 5, right? On the 9th?
on the 9th. Okay,
Wow.
that way I can let them know.
Oh, I had a question.
Okay.
He pointed out on the interview a while ago that the only area that he was gonna work on, that he was gonna point out was one in the ambulance and the deficiencies, and those being addressed.
No, we haven't looked at any of that yet. That's what we're gonna be working on now, between now and December 8th or 9th.
Okay, because I like to know those.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, they'll be looking at those since they were findings last year.
Okay, thank you.
Any others?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next is bids and contracts. It's approval of the contract agreement A21F2032 between the city of Tucumcari in the state of New Mexico ALTSD Capital Outlay Bureau. And I believe Clara Rose will be presenting that.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Commission. So, this is another capital outlay, contract, and this is in the amount of $58,114. And it is to replace all the ceiling tiles in the senior center. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, respectfully request your approval.
Anyone have any questions, comments? Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve this contract, or this, excuse me.
Contract, yes.
Yeah, contract with, the New Mexico ALTSD Capital Outlay Bureau.
I'll make a motion, we approve the contract for the A21F2032 between the city of Tuncumcari and the state.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call please.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes.
Thank you.
There we go. All right. Next is the approval of amendment to the agreement for engineering services with Park Hill. I believe Sheree will be presenting that.
Good evening. Right now, the city is in contract for engineering for the 11th Street water, the concrete tank rehab project with Park Hill. We have secured new funds from drinking water to complete the construction of the tank, and we are needing to amend the contract for time so they can complete the project. There is no increase to the contract amount, it's just strictly for time. So I ask for your approval.
Okay, any questions, comments, discussion? All right, I would entertain a motion to accept this amendment to the agreement for engineering services with Park Hill.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the amendment for the agreement for engineering services with Park Hill.
I'll second.
All right. Roll call, please. Sorry.
Commissioner Moya.
Yep.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the appointment, under new business, the appointment of lodger's tax board member. We have two applicants. We have David Brenner and Lila Doherty. You have both of their information sheets here. Do I have any discussion?
Both have served on there, right? Well,
Yes.
who's serving right now?
Lila's serving right now.
Okay. And Dave had served in the past too also, right?
Yes, both of them are very good and
Yeah, both of them.
reliable, so
They have good knowledge.
so I will leave it up to one of you to.
Commissioner Duplantis, you on that board, how's that board doing?
The board's doing fine. The only thing I'd like to point out, Mr. Brenner has done a great job with this American bus, tour thing that he's working on. He's ramrodded it real well. My only concern is having a lodger tax member also working with that. To me, it can be a conflict of interest or perceived as that. I see him as more valuable right now with the ABA, the American Bus Administration, or the tour bus group. And I've not seen it more organized. I attend the meetings and he does a really wonderful job at it. I just want to put that to you.
Yeah, Mr. Brenner also checked that he would be willing to serve on the planning and zoning.
And that's the reason we skipped that, is so that we could do, because if we had voted him in on that, he wouldn't have been eligible to apply for this. So I wanted to do this first and then we can go back to planning and zoning.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Well,
I wasn't ignoring you, I was just giving him a chance.
oh, okay. Well, I see where it's valuable to have people want to serve.
Right.
Yes.
And I think if you feel like, this lady's doing a good job, I'll make a motion, Dorsey, what's it, Lila?
Yes.
If I may, from what I've seen in emails, I've been invited to the meetings. The Chamber of Commerce has strictly taken over the tour bus stuff, so Mr. Brenner is no longer heading that.
Okay. Well, I still stand with my motion.
So we have a motion for Lila Doherty to be on the
Lodgers.
Lodgers Tax Board. Do I have a second? Any other comments, questions?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis,
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Yes. You wanna go back to the other one?
That's what I'm getting ready to do.
Okay.
So now I would like to go back and appoint David Brenner to the Community Planning and Zoning Board.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve Mr. Brenner to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Do I have a second? Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis,
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Okay, thank you both very much for your service. We appreciate your willingness to volunteer.
That's a lot of work.
Next is requesting approval of the price increase for the convention center. Mark, are you going to present that?
Yes, ma'am. This was, in the second handouts that I had given y'all, there's a stack of paperwork and it is
Where did that went?
the last page on mine.
On this?
Yes.
Mine must be someplace else.
I bet you I moved it.
You did.
I had two of
Okay.
them sitting right
All
here.
right, because I'm going, where is mine?
It's the last page.
The last page.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I
again,
had two of them
these
sitting there.
new rates, this went through Lodgers Tax Board. They had a special work session to really discuss this and fine tune it and break everything down from utilities to bar usage fees, cleanup fees, you name it. So in one column, you can see the new proposed price. On the right-hand column, you can see what it was. These are consistent, I think, with comparable sizes or forms of government or square footage with others in the state. When compared to Alamogordo, not to the population of Alamogordo, but the size of their facility, I think we're very competitive just to compare it to another municipality. I think these fees are reasonable. I did receive a call from Mr. Bednors. The one thing that I would recommend to change, he brought up that the bar usage was $50 an hour. I think that's a bit steep. Typically, we have 2 bartenders and we typically pay around minimum wage with tips. So I would recommend that goes to $25 an hour instead of $50 an hour. And then Mr. Bednors is here as well if he has any additional comments.
Not really any comments. We added a cleanup fee. Sorry. We added a cleanup fee simply because, city is shorthanded of staff. And this is something that you could probably 1099 if that's what the city manager would like to do. And security, the city has a liquor license and it's very valuable and they can lose their liquor license if there's a fight or anything illegal done out at the convention center. So I believe you need a certified security officer there, at least 2. That again, it goes back to the consumer, not the city of Tuncumcari.
That's $60 for security, that's just minimum.
That's minimum,
Just in
yeah.
case you have to have more than 2 security officers.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
And, police officer makes about $18 an hour. If they're
That's not.
overtime, it's time and a half. So that's right there, 30, I don't know. It's costly.
Okay.
I just want to add that.
So the only thing we change on this is the bar usage, the $25 per hour for the bartenders, right?
Yes, ma'am, instead of the 50.
Any other questions, comments on this?
Has that, Matt, is that something that was acceptable, the $25?
The bartenders make $10.50 an hour, according to the city manager. There again, $25 an hour, the consumer is paying for that, and the city of Tuncumcari is not. 50, if you put $50 an hour, that's, the city's making $30 an hour profit. We kind of want it kind of reasonable for the consumer. I mean,
I see, I agree more with the 50 than the 25 on a business sense. The convention center is a business, it's not a charity. And if we're looking for the bartender, we're providing a service.
right.
You know, you're not gonna go to any, and if the commission's for it, that's fine, you know, I'll vote whatever the motion is. But if you go to any convention center that's being run privately, they charge for the fees to locate bands, whatever they're doing, even setting up, and we're actually charging for a setup fee now, which we weren't doing before. But, that's just, I'm not saying we're making a killing, but what about the cleanup afterwards, the cleanup? What about when Lloyd's gotta place the liquor order, somebody's gotta pay for that stuff.
Right.
You know, that's just my thoughts in the way of it being,
It,
should be ran a little bit more of a business. And
right.
this is actually low compared to what you may find in other communities that run.
Right. Starting to work on this, I called, Clovis, and they said our prices are way low, and our convention center is actually bigger than theirs.
Yes.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
So, y'all decide what you want, 25 or 50?
I just have a question. Whenever we waive fees for nonprofits, is that bar usage and cleanup fee also waived when we do that?
We have not discussed that. This is something new. We've never charged a bar fee, so this is in addition to the price list.
Oh,
Because I know
but you're going to $50 an hour, what's the price? You went down on 50, what's it?
25.
25, isn't it?
That was my request,
This is
and
different.
like
Well,
I said,
I don't see 25 is not bad.
I'm just thinking in terms of, rather union that's an ongoing yearly thing that we normally waive the fees for them.
So it depends. Whenever we have fees, like I said, we've never paid for bar usage. The only fee that's been waived is a nonprofit fee for whether it's the tip and carry room or the full facility. That's what gets waived, nothing else. At this point, again, this is all new. This is a new fee schedule.
So from the down north, the down is something new that we're.
No, down north, he's always been charged.
Yeah, but from setup fee down.
Minus the setup fee. The setup fee was there, it just wasn't implemented and being charged. So now that has changed, that is being implemented, it was in the ordinance. So starting with bar usage down, that's the new section right there.
I would just want to add, right now, they're not charging for government entities, and we didn't address that in our proposal. But Mr. Martinez and we think we should address that at some point, because, for instance, if the state of New Mexico comes and uses our facilities, we're still losing costs.
Right.
Because of electricity or whatnot. But that's the only thing that we did not address in our proposal.
Or even an opportunity to rent it out to somebody's gonna pay us.
Well, I think that was, one of the comments I made in the lodgers tax meeting was maybe we charge of the nonprofit fee, or there's a separate fee for government entities. Just because they're eligible to get that fee waived doesn't mean we have to start with that. Let's start with the price and try to make some profit off of it. If not, then we take the loss. I know I talked to Lloyd about it. We had a convention out there, and we didn't make anything out of it. It was completely free to them, so we had to pay for utilities, we had to pay for the cleanup, we had to pay for personnel, everything was out of our pocket. So I think it's something important that we look at. It doesn't have to be outrageous, but at least maybe where we're breaking even and not going into the hole just because they're a government entity. I know government entities are willing to pay, and there's fee schedules in other places where government entities do have to pay something.
Okay, so do you want us to approve this tonight, or?
I wouldn't. I guess the other thing on the approval side is discussing when will this be implemented? Are we wanting to do this immediate, effective as today's date, effective January
I think
1?
January 1 would be best to start it at the new year, myself.
And then anybody that's booked an event at this point, as of that date, they'd be grandfathered in
Right.
to the old rates.
Right.
Okay.
The only problem I have is just that the cleanup and the usage, how we're gonna handle those when we come to nonprofit waivers. I guess that can be something that can be sorted out, like the pricing of everything else seems to make sense, may make sense to myself. I understand Mayor Pro Tem plan is the 50 to the 25. I think the 25 is a little bit more feasible for
I do wanna make a comment on.
for weddings and quinceañeras.
Next year it's gonna be $24. If we got 2 bartenders. We
Right.
got $1 to clean up at the end of the night. That's just something to consider.
The minimum wage increase.
Yep. $11.50 and then 12.
That's actually in 1 month it starts, it goes back up again. So that's something to consider. You know, do we adjust prices well, actually, do y'all adjust prices every year? Or can we take care of it, you know, would y'all want to take care of it now to plan ahead of what's gonna happen? That's something we know is gonna happen. And $24 an hour, if I was a bartender getting minimum wage, I don't count my tips until I get home. There's 30 minutes worth of cleanup, Lloyd's doing the cleanup. Now it's back on the city, we left no cushion, not even for the setup.
And I can
That's
see
just-
that,
that's
just maybe
just-
something a little bit more reasonable, maybe $30 an hour. Something we're still making a little bit of profit, because remember, we'll still make profit off the alcohol sales. I just don't want to gouge people, since this is something new, I wanted to kind of start slow. But I do agree, this is something, along with our other prices, fees across the board, something that needs to be reevaluated on an annual basis, because everybody else's prices are going up. So we can't take that profit loss. We need to keep up and reevaluate these every year.
So why don't we change the bar usage to $30 per hour? And then next year, reevaluate,
Sounds like a great plan.
okay? Does that sound better? And then we'll have to talk about the cleanup and the the bar usage and stuff for nonprofit at maybe when we will, as it comes. Okay. All right, I would entertain a motion to accept this, this funding price increase for the convention center.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the pricing list as amended for the convention center.
Do I have a second?
25 or 30.
With a $30 per hour on the bar usage to be amended at least yearly.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is requesting approval for funding to repair the north side of the convention center.
Yes, ma'am. So in that second packet that I gave y'all, it will be the quote for $38,000. This was also presented to lodgers tax. We will be going underneath the state pricing agreement, which is at the top of this packet. It shows the contract and the 3 amendments that have been issued through the state. And at this time, I guess I'll give a little background. So we've had some water leaking into the north side of the building. In the beginning, it was assumed that it was maybe the roof was leaking. After further investigation, we found out it wasn't through, thankfully, because that would have been a nightmare. But we did find that the water is draining towards the foundation of the building. And in doing so, it's getting underneath the wall and working its way into the hallway. You can see water staying there. I want to knock this out as soon as possible. We have the funds available for it. We don't want any mold to grow or any issues with that. And then one of the next items coming up in the agenda is to do the flooring. I feel it's useless to go put new flooring without first mitigating the water issue. So at this time, I would ask for your approval and send for any questions.
Is this still just for the north side right now?
Yes, ma'am. That's the only one that's having the issue right
Okay.
now. There is the
Well,
back
we'll
door.
get down to the flooring later.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's why I wanted to make sure. So I would entertain a motion to approve the requesting approval for funding to repair the north side of the convention.
I make a motion that we accept the approval for funding to repair the north side of the convention center.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes. Next on the agenda is funding from the executive for additional filming by Carlos Medina. And I think all of us that have seen the film that he made, the video he made, would agree that it was excellent and it really does promote Susan Carey. So
Make you hungry.
The one comment I made during that video, and I think maybe why this proposal has come before us, and it went again before lodgers tax. I wanted to make sure that everybody was showcasing there, and I think this is probably one of the better investments we've had when it comes to showing all the different locations, from restaurants to landmarks, you name it. But the two that I found, at least two of them that were kind of shortchanged. I want to make sure Route 66 Museum got some attention as well as the Railroad Museum. Then we've also talked about going up and down the boulevard a little bit more, some more drone footage, maybe highlighting some of the stuff that Mr. Brenner and Matty Moe has been working on. So with that being said, this is presented to the executive side of lodgers tax, or to be pulled from the executive side of lodgers tax to the lodgers board. They voted to approve it and recommend it to the city commission. It's an additional $6,000. I didn't have a chance to print it out before the meeting, but I had been in talks with Mr. Medina, and I said I'd like to do it in the same format that we did with the original contract, and that's in certain benchmarks and disbursements, not just a flat fee at one time. They'll be out on site scouting locations if this is approved on December 1st, I believe December 1st. Again, to look at these locations, talk to some people and make plans for when they would film on the 17th and 18th. So with that, the first disbursement would come after the site visit, and next after filming is completed, and then there's still $1,000 remaining on the old contract. That, as well as the additional $2,000, will be retained until the final project is received. So that's how the contract is drafted.
Okay. All right, do I have any other questions, discussion? I'd entertain a motion to approve the funding from executive for additional filming by Carlos Medina.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the funding from executives for additional filming by Mr. Medina.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Moya?
Yes.
Commissioner Arias?
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis?
Okay, next on the agenda is requesting approval to transfer executive lodgers tax funds for the flooring at the convention center.
Yes, ma'am. This has also been a topic that we've been talking about for, I believe, almost over a year now. We're fortunate enough, the cost of this project would have pushed us to a sealed formal bid. Fortunately, this individual is on state contract as well, so we're able to go through that procurement. That documentation is attached with this as well. Even though we went through the state contract, I did obtain 2 other quotes. Both of those 2 other quotes were higher. I think one was 197, 100, somewhere in the 190,000 range, and the other was about 170 to 180. So this was cheaper, and it's your state contract. It streamlines it. The goal, I'm not sure if it'll be able to happen, is try to get this flooring done prior to the appreciation on December 17th. I know we have a craft fair, so if that doesn't work well with that schedule, we may have to change it to after the city appreciation. This allows for polished concrete throughout the entire convention center. It also accounts for the main ballroom. That's what I'm most excited to see completed. That carpet is old and outdated. It's the original carpet. We'll be going with the large square carpet tiles for that room. So I'm excited to move forward with this and knock this out. We've been talking about it for too long. So with that, I stand for any questions, and if not, would ask for your approval.
Any other questions?
Long overdue, that's all I can say.
I would entertain a motion to approve the transfer from executive lodgers tax funds for the flooring at the convention center.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer to executive lodger tax funds for the flooring at the convention center.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Arias?
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis?
Yes.
Commissioner Moya?
Yes.
Okay, next is consideration of appointing the municipal judge. From what I understand, when we did not have but one application back in the fall, we decided to wait until after the election. And since the election has taken place and we do have someone that won, we can go ahead and appoint him so that he can start working. And you want to add any more?
From what I've heard with talking with Paula, the court clerk, there's quite a few cases that are pending that will lapse in time. So with that being said, since we do have a municipal judge that's been elected now, we would like to, the commission discussed it in the work session, and on board to go ahead and line that instead of starting on January 1st. As soon as the judge training would be complete, I heard that's around mid-December, the judge would be eligible to go ahead and step in and start filling in.
Yeah, because he has to have he has to go to training first, right?
Correct, yes, sir.
And that was, one of the reasons also that we decided to wait until the people decided who they wanted to represent him. Because actually what would happen if we'd have had trained the other one, then trained this other one, and paid for both. And they don't have that kind of budget, so.
Any other discussion?
I do have something to add. Judge Maestas will be attending his training on December 6th, and so his swearing in will be December 13th. So I'm not too sure what time, so just keep that on your calendar. I'll put out a notice that a quorum may be present. But December 13th, my understanding is that Paula will be scheduling hearings for December 14th. So he has to be sworn in before then.
So the appointment would be for Christopher Maestas, who was elected as the municipal judge. I would entertain a motion that we consider appointing Christopher Maestas as the municipal judge.
So I do have a clarification though before, or requesting clarification. Is he just gonna be temporarily appointed from the 13th until the 31st? And then sworn in to his elected position on January 1st? Or does he start on December 13th?
Well, I wouldn't think you start till January 1st, but we can go ahead and appoint him now, right?
Will that be on a temporary
In a
basis?
temporary
though?
basis.
Okay,
So
So it'll
we
be two-
have
two
a swearing
swearing
in still on the 13th?
Yes.
For the temporary, and then
Correct.
again in January.
I think December 30th is what Paul and I were talking
Oh,
about.
December 30th, not
Yes.
13th.
December 13th will be the temporary swearing in.
Temporary, okay.
December 30th, it's just been discussed, will
Right.
be the actual swearing in for the elected
Okay.
portion of it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So I would entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and appoint, Judge Maestas to municipal judge temporarily till his permanent appointment.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call please.
Commissioner Arias?
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis?
Yes.
Commissioner Moya?
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is the city manager's report.
Yes, ma'am. It's been a busy past couple of weeks. We had quite a bit of lengthy layovers this last meeting due to holidays falling into place. With that being said, I'll just do a brief report tonight. I did want to state that Angelica, myself, and Community Development did attend a cannabis workshop through the Municipal League. We briefly discussed that in the work session. Very informative. As expressed in the work session, things are constantly going to be changing till January 1st comes around. But stay tuned, we'll definitely start working on that. I also had the opportunity to sit in, I don't know the appropriate name for it, but the bus tour meetings. I think it's a great idea, and it's going to be a great marketing asset for Tucumcari. I'm excited to see what this brings. Honestly, if we get one tour out of this, I think it's obviously paid for itself. We've also had some meetings with numerous engineers discussing different funding opportunities or some federal funds coming down for water infrastructure. So one of the meetings that we held today was to discuss how to obtain those funds and maybe have our staff work with others to try to look outside the box to get some different funds than we typically tap into all the time. So that was encouraging. We've also had some meetings to discuss some of the streets. We do have Ndot funds, which we received. We talked about that in the past. And we'll be going out for RFP for engineers. I believe that goes out for advertisement next week. Also coming up is the little luncheon we have with our legislators. So I'm sure y'all got the invitation. If not, get with me. It'd be nice to have good representation there. And if we have more than a quorum, we'll get with Angelica and have her put out a public notice. This week's been pretty busy. I know Rochelle's been tied up working on stuff for our auditors. I was doing the same, reviewing about 100 pages of policy for to help with our IT finding that we had. We've been working above and beyond. Plateau's been helping us out with this, so I'm hoping we're able to work on that and show that we made progress to try to clear that up. And last but not least, we had a very somewhat informal meeting with some of the key stakeholders. It wasn't the full group, but the city of Tucumcari, myself, New Mexico Game and Fish, and the attorneys, our water rights attorney, we all met to discuss the possibilities of what kind of water rights the city might be able to provide for Tucumcari Lake. That's the main talking point right now before we move forward. So of course, like with anything, we have to take care of the citizens of the city first and make sure we're able to provide ample drinking water, which I think we can do. We have some combined commingled permits that are in the process now. That way we could geographically locate certain wells and tie them together on the permit. And anything that's in excess that we feel comfortable and we have a buffer, at that point, we could talk about potential water rights being leased. Again, it was informal, nothing set in stone yet, just continuing the conversation so it doesn't fall off the radar. But we will continue to do so. I'm really excited about that with everything going on with the art community, with the tourism. So this is another key staple with the outdoor recreation to try to attract more tourists and move forward with it. So with that, that'll conclude my manager's report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is items from commissioners. Commissioner RS.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to say I've been seeing a lot of people doing some cleanup around town, so we certainly appreciate that. I've noticed several trucks going by with tree limbs in their back of the truck, and they're not being dumped at the gates. I passed by and checked that too, so I'm glad to see that citizens are utilizing that service of the tree dump. As we look around, we're noticing more and more positive things happening at Tucumcari. I know I've taken more meetings where people are coming in or have met more people who are moving into town, so Tucumcari is moving in the right direction. As evidence tonight, we're making improvements where they've been needed for a long time. We're sending people out to market Tucumcari. We are moving in the right direction. That's just very pleasing to see. And potholes, I'm noticing the pothole machines out and running. So thank you for getting that going. And now that it got cold, stop again.
We can start them all over.
But with that, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, next is Mayor Pro Tem DePlantis.
I only got, well, I want to thank everybody that's come out, and with the public comments and stuff, but, the state of New Mexico DOT asked us to do up a letter so they can put in for some projects. It's like the second meeting that I brought this up. If we're interested to have their help, we need to do this letter because they requested it to show that we're supporting a project that would help US 54. So I respectfully request that maybe the next meeting we can have this letter, and if the commissioners so choose to sign it so we can let the state know that we are sincerely interested in fixing what they messed up 10 to 15 years ago. That's all I got.
Okay, Commissioner Moy.
First of all, I had, one of the things is the Quake County has gotten, or we have gotten the coronavirus and the Delta virus gotten pretty bad in the community, large numbers. And then I also had some people calling me in reference to not being able to get the, the booster shot. They were able to, but I guess when they called the line or whatever the state of New Mexico had, it would direct them to other areas other than Tucumcari. So what I did call David Scarfy, who is the director of the Department of Health. I have his personal email, and he answered and he referred it to two other people to get it corrected. He said that should be in the works, and he feels that it will be corrected. He didn't know that he didn't realize that we were getting sent elsewhere. I think Clovis and Santa Rosa, but except Tucumcari. And all I can say is people be careful with the coronavirus, and especially the Delta, which is a lot more dangerous. Please put your mask on, do what you're required to do to get this thing taken care of. Because if it gets out of hand, again, we didn't like the idea of being closed down. We didn't like the idea of government coming in to tell us. But if we do simple things, we don't have to have them in here. And if you follow the rules, I think you'll be all right. The other thing that I like to talk about is, and I like to give an update, not me, but I'll have the city manager do, but I'd like to say is the ambulance, we're still down to one ambulance. I'm really, I mean, this is a difficulty time in Tucumcari. I noticed that we did have an ambulance from a new community, and it seems like it's breaking down constantly. And I think they had gotten down to where they didn't have an ambulance for a day, and they brought one from house, but they returned it back.
We did, that's correct. So unfortunately, the ambulance that we most recently are in the process of purchasing has had some delays, and it's like with anything else, the vendors, I know there's a holdup on the graphics. We do have to have graphics on the ambulance to identify. The other thing, there was a delay on some parts, I think were back ordered, some kind of delay for the electric gurney. That was taking some time to get that moving. But from what I've been told, I'm not putting it in stone. I don't want to get expectations up too high. It should be here next week. The latest I heard, like I said, was that something to do with the graphics. They had 4 people quit or walk out or something happened. So that's the biggest. As soon as we get it back, we're already lining up and scheduling a DOT inspection on it and get it in service as soon as we can. You're right, we did have, we had borrowed an ambulance from a close community. Things went down, had issues with the radiator. Again, and what I'm trying to avoid is getting our stuff fixed, getting it back on the road, getting our new ambulance, so we're not having to replace engines and a lot of different items on an ambulance that's not even ours. I do think House, they did step up and help us when we had that.
Just one day.
Additional. So that's where we're at. We're hoping to get that going next week. And as soon as we can get that, I've been stressing, I've talked to the interim fire chief, I talked to the vendor. We need that ASAP because I currently have a second request for the ambulance pending, but it doesn't look at that. We haven't even drawn down the first money for that ambulance and start asking for the second one. So we have the paperwork ready to go. But yeah, nonetheless, we have complete coverage. I hate to do it. Worst case scenario, we could call in Logan to try to help with this, but that response time is going to be a long time.
Yeah, and one ambulance is not good for the size of community we have.
It is, and even though we're down to minimal ambulances, we're still responding to some other communities' calls. And again, we're not going to let service stop. We'll make sure that there's plenty of coverage.
Actually, you have a problem because those ambulances that were supposed to be taken care of is still in the shop, and it's been quite a while. There for a while, I went by there and they were out in the bone area. I mean, they said they was going to take priority, and then all of a sudden it's still out there in the middle of the field. And I don't think that's fair. Either we should have known that that wasn't going to happen so that we could get it taken care of. Because we need our ambulance. This is quite a big community, and then not only are we serving the community, we also serving part of the county, practically all the county.
Correct, and we were able to pull.
And 2 of them are still in their shops, and that's what I can understand why they're still there.
That's correct. We pulled one of the other ambulances that was here at a local shop. To my knowledge, if I remember correctly, the only thing wrong with that is the rear end. So in town, it was fine to operate. We did ask the mechanic to let us use that. We did utilize it during that time. We had another in Clovis. Don't know the latest on that one. I believe that one's supposed to be sent back here as well and getting closer to out on the streets again.
Yeah, but this is ridiculous. We discussed this about a month and a half ago. And here we're still dragging our feet. I heard that Presbyterians no longer going to allow us to borrow an ambulance because they had their own.
I've still been in conversation with them, Commissioner. The issue they had, kind of bad luck like we did. They had 3 ambulances that were involved in incidents, and they're not operable. It's not off the table. The gentleman said he was going to call me back. I haven't heard back from him yet. So I gave him a couple of days, so it's time that I reach out to him again tomorrow and get an update. But they said they'd love to help us in some sort of fashion because they are receiving 6 new ambulances themselves as Presbyterian. So they feel that they have something in their fleet that they would be able to loan us. So I'm still working on that.
Something has to be done. Actually, we can't be procrastinating when it's really a necessary service. And then I know we need to start working on the second ambulance for ourselves. We have to be self-sufficient. We can't be dependent on everybody else to lend us 1 or 9 here and there, because when you have a accident or need an ambulance, you need it now, not coming down 30 or 40 miles away, you know? Let's see what we can do, and if you need me to contact the governor again, and things, but I'm sure they're gonna ask us, well, we already helped you speed through one of the things. I could ask them and see what they could do to help, but I think we need to take care of our own problems, not be dependent so much on the state.
On the new ambulance, I feel it's out of our hands. There's nothing we can do.
It is out of our hands, but we should be pushing them because they also have the probability of getting another one. I mean, by purchasing another one, if we can get the DFA to give us approval for the second one. And then actually, the good one that we had, it got knocked out, so I think they're not even worth anything once an ambulance is total out. I don't think the insurance will even pay us about 20,000 or so, they're not. But they cost about 350,000, you know, to get an ambulance. To get that ambulance replaced would cost us that much. And we probably just get the minimum for those ambulances. Okay. And what's happening with the position on the assistant manager, or what we were looking at, somebody to, where is it? What houses?
So we had a work session to discuss that. I presented to y'all a request for a community services director. I think that'll provide the best service to the community. It'll give me a little bit more time to field more phone calls and focus on some other things. Right now, it's not feasible to oversee 18 to 20 departments as one individual. The one thing that we didn't come out of that work session with clear guidance is going back and forth whether or not this should be tied to the cannabis industry. For what it's worth, I've reached out to some other municipalities as well as not the city attorney, but an attorney, and they felt that that was two completely different things that could be handled either through permitting, through code enforcement, the state enforcing things. And I just didn't want it to take away from what it was meant to be as community services director. So at this point, we hadn't advertised.
You have
just want to get a little more clarification. No, sir, we had not advertised yet.
Well, when do you think it's gonna take a little place here?
I feel that we may have to discuss a little bit more to get some clear guidance on how to specifically put together this job description. If the commission chooses to do so and they want it to be tied to cannabis, that's at your all's discretion, but I think it takes away from what would truly benefit the city is providing better customer service all around.
Well, yeah, well, that was the whole intention. That's why we pushed for this assistant director, you know. So hopefully we can get it done. Well, the other thing is that I'm very encouraged with Tucumcari. And really see a lot of motivation, a lot of positive attitude around bringing any kind of industry or good ideas. Especially, I want to welcome the artists that are here today and other business people that really have worked hard. And I think they have a good idea. I think that guy, the famous artist or whatever it is, has a good idea of being able to get Tucumcari a little more into the art community. I lived in Santa Fe at the beginning of back in the 60s and the 70s, and I remember it used to be a little community like this, and now it got itself out of price range. And all these ideas that are coming in has really helped the community in a very positive manner, because you can see the real estate going up, people trying to fix their properties, and things are looking good, you know, and I'm very happy. The other thing is, I do like to know that once we get the judging, how soon are we going to be able to also contribute to us getting the Kentucky Fried Chicken property has been a constant complaint of people to me, you know, and I've been trying to explain to them that at this point it's being a little hard because we don't have a judge for the ordinance being forced. And the other thing is, they also talked about several properties up and down the boulevard. And they feel that if we're gonna really promote our community, we also need to clean it up. And I don't know what we're gonna do with the second and main building, but we're really gonna have to take a stand on it. I mean, this motivation, and everybody's encouraging people coming in from out of state and just to look at us and see our potential, which we have a lot. It's not helping when we have dilapidated buildings like that. So That's something that we, the commission, have to take a stand on and see, even if we have to put out the money, to get that thing clean, but we have to do something. It takes we have a beautiful train depot down there, and then we have this thing that takes half the street, and it's falling down every time you go by there. So that's all I have to say now. Thank you.
Okay, and as of right now, we're having a busy time from now till Christmas. Thank you, Scott, and always appreciate everything you and Main Street are doing right now. Connie are working hard, I realize that. It was kind of a unique week at the Motel Safari. They had a camel, Romeo, that came and visited with them, and the people had broken down, and they called AAA, and AAA recommended the hotel because they had a parking lot where they could park the trailer. And when they drove in and saw the camel on the sign, and then the camel in the, they said, this must be the place we're supposed to be. I thought that was very interesting. I went down yesterday and fed Romeo an apple or two, so it was
You didn't write the
kind
thing?
of,
You didn't write the
I
thing?
don't know, I didn't know. They didn't take him out of the trailer.
Oh, consider it.
I didn't want to ride it.
I'm the city hall with it,
Right, but it was kind of
It's
cool.
all PR.
People stopped by all day long in and out of the safari to see Romeo, and I thought that was kind of cool.
That's cool.
David Brenner and Lila Doherty, appreciate everything that you do. Thank you for volunteering for our workshop, I can't even think right now, I'm kind of foggy, but for our lodger's tax and for our, whatever it is. Yeah,
Planning and zoning.
yeah, planning and zoning. We appreciate your being willing to volunteer. Scott, I just can't tell you how much we appreciate all that you've brought to Tucumcari since you've been here, and wish you good luck on this workshop that you're going to, this expo type thing. Welcome to the artists that are here tonight. I think we bored Remy to sleep, so. I don't blame him. Sometimes it's not all that interesting to children, I guess. Officer Lopez, thank you for aren't you Officer Lopez? No? Gonzalez. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I couldn't see just your eyes. Gonzalez, thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate that. COVID is on the uprise. The courthouse is full of it right now. I know Logan schools have had to close down for 13 days. So please be aware, everybody keep your mask handy and be aware of that. We appreciate everybody coming out tonight, and I hope everybody has a very blessed Thanksgiving this next weekend. Be careful and safe if you're traveling. And thank you again, everyone, for coming tonight. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Second? Roll call?
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis,
Yes.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Ayas.
Yes.
History in a minute.
Good. All I'm allowed to drink was